Today we're performing major surgery on my 392. We're gonna go from stock fender flares to something a little bit more like this. Well guys, you know what? We had to rip the Jeep apart. We had to do it. I threw 40s on this thing, 3.5-inch lift, and that was the first phase of this. But really that was kind of, just as I said, the first phase. When you throw 40s on, you really need to open it up and get some more clearance. Heck, even when my dad jumped in this thing, the back would start rubbing the inner fender liner and things. It just needed opened up. I mean, unless I go crazy with the lift kit. So this is kind of part 2 of the Motobilt build. We'll have a lot of cool content coming out here on this 392, particularly because we're ripping into it right now. So we did the taillights already. Those things are absolutely badass and they're getting paint matched right now. But everything that we've got laid out on the ground is part of what we're gonna be installing today. So as you can see, we've got front and rear aluminum Motobilt HighLine fender flares with their aluminum high clearance 40-inch tire inner fender liners for both the front and the rear. Now in today's video, what we wanted to do is kind of install the parts that required more test fitting before we got them powder coated. So like front and rear bumpers, they still want you to install and kind of try out, but it's not 100% necessary for us because we've done so many. However, when you're doing something like this, Ryan, you can see how much paint and painter's tape I've got onto the tub. We're installing nut certs, we're drilling into the tub here. You want to get this done before you get them powder coated or professionally painted. That way you're not doing it when it's all painted. I could only imagine trying to do all this step. So what I've done on this side is I've already got the Rubicon fender flares removed. I got my lower Rubicon rails pulled off, and then I've got it very well masked up. So on the front, we'll show you a little bit more how to do this, but up here we've got this completely taped off. And then there's no more brackets left, Ryan. So I had to take all those off. So you have a bracket here, and then these two, which we actually just used for your fender chop, all that gets zapped off as well. So this one I actually use a nice oscillating tool and just ground it down a little bit with my DeWalt disc grinder. But this is kind of major surgery. I'll be honest with you. When you're doing this to a Jeep of this magnitude, it's a lot. So we're gonna take our time. I've done a lot of stuff like this in the past, but nothing to a Jeep like this. So we decided to mask off the entire Jeep so we're not getting any shavings on the body, on the paint. And in today's video, this is gonna be putting on a lot of the armor and test fitting it, but this is kind of going to be an install video with some tips and tricks. Well guys, the first step of today is to actually get these fender flares removed. So we've got to remove the front, the rear, and then we're also going to be pulling the rock sliders off. Fronts are really easy, the rears are super simple. You need a 10mm socket as well as a trim removal tool for some of the push pins. There's only one push pin in the front that you need to remove, but there's a couple 10mm bolts that actually hold the fender assembly to the tub. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and disassemble this a while. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's actually 5 bolts, and they're just up top here. I just jokingly said to Ryan off camera, Ryan, you think I should tell him what I just said to you off camera? If this part is already kind of making you nervous just removing your fender flares, I probably wouldn't continue because it's gonna get a lot uglier. Because if I do this wrong, I have to replace a lot of body panels. And if you're kind of nervous to do it, I would say probably use our Upfitter affiliate program and find a good shop. So it's all disconnected. We'll go ahead and pull these off. I did get some tips from you guys on how to get some of the fender clips off. We're gonna go ahead and just give it a good pull. Not go too crazy because we do need to disconnect our wiring harness right here also. And we don't want to damage the fender flare either because these actually pretty valuable the way they sit. I would suggest too, if you're gonna be grinding, cutting, welding, anything like this, and your Jeep is in a smaller shop like we have, definitely take a few minutes to just tape off sections like this. It's really gonna save you in the long run because you don't want all those metal shavings sitting on your Jeep. Or maybe you do. Maybe you don't care. It's an off-road rig. You know, who cares? Just destroy your... Don't go on the rant, Matt. Don't do it. Okay. I won't, Ryan. I won't go on the rant. But for my Jeep, since it's a limited run bikini pearl clear coat, and I actually do like my paint, I'm gonna tape it off a little bit, you know? This one's Megamundo fighting me here. I already did that whole other side off camera. The moment you go on camera, everything goes bad. So the back, kind of the same situation as the front, except there's no bolts. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the push pins that just hold this onto the tub. It's kind of funny when you think about it. I mean, that's all that holds this thing to the tub. And then you do have a little bit of bracketry back here that I've removed. Same thing for the rear. Just go ahead and grab it and pull it out towards you. That's it. So guys, we got to remove a couple things here first. We got to get this bracket pulled off, this one, and then these two up front. These two are welded up into the subframe structure. These seem to be like spot welded up there though, so these are kind of easy to get off. What you're gonna do for these, at least what I've done, grab a vice grip. I can start with the end of it. Try and see if I can give it a good bend here. Actually, I'll go in the middle. And this is what you're going to want to bend back and forth, and it will just pop right off then. It's kind of funny in my eyes that it just bends back and forth because I feel like it. No. These have to be removed for the new fenders to get installed, and they don't do anything really. And of course, the one side I try and do on camera to show you guys is not going as smooth. This one didn't come off as nice as the other side. The other side bent off really, really smooth. Try and get it to pop off all the way at the spot weld though. We're gonna tape this off a little bit here because there will be some sparks flying. You get to choose how you want to cut yours. I use a little oscillating tool on mine and then just kind of flush it smooth. But you can decide, pick your poison, however you want to cut these off, but I cut the welds and then just kind of go from there. I just like to protect all my painted parts from all the sparkies that are gonna fly. So, but yeah, we're gonna get this trimmed up and kind of go from there. There's a weld on the top here of this one. There's a weld at the top, weld at the side, weld at the top of here, and then there's just one on the side. There's nothing on the back side here. Once you cut these off though, you'd have to re-weld them on if you ever want to go back. So, I mean, you could still reverse this if you ever wanted to, I guess. I mean, you could just put those brackets back on here and then weld those back on and go back to your stock fenders. But you're also riv nutting everything, so this is kind of a once and done thing. All right guys, so we're moving over to this side just because I've got it all taped up and prepped up and we have a little bit more room to work over here in the shop. I've got the rear completely mocked up. It took me a little bit just to get everything perfect in the way I want it. But on the fronts, we're gonna kind of show you what we're gonna do to get this mounted up. So I've got the front aluminum fender. We'll talk a little bit more about this. So we did the HighLine fender flare and we decided to go aluminum to try and save some more weight on this build. The Jeep is getting heavy, I'll be honest with you guys, with the 40s and everything else going on. It's got a ton of weight going for it. So we wanted to save a little bit of weight with the fender flares, give us a lot more room for articulation because these do take up a ton of space. And then also, we just wanted to save some weight and get some awesome badass fender flares. So you're gonna get a ton more clearance over the stock fender. So that's pretty much, it would sit pretty close to right there. I have some of those holes kind of started here. And what I like about this is that it gives you so much more room underneath here. So I mean, in reality, this is a crazy amount of room. We'll have plenty of room to flex out. All right guys, so what we're kind of doing here is just lining up to make sure all of these holes look good. So what we're gonna do then is we're gonna pull this fender flare down and we're gonna drill out all of the stock holes here. I'm just checking for fitment. And then what you'll do if they don't fit or line up right, which 99% of the time the Motobilt parts are perfectly fine, we'll actually just take a little bit of a drill bit on the back side of the countersunk side here and just open up the hole a little bit. But yeah, we'll get these lined up. I'm just test fitting everything, so, and then I'll put a clamp on, but I want to bring the light up here too and I'll be able to kind of see that these are in the exact spot where they need to be. These little clamps work really well, so you can just kind of push that against the inner side of the tub. Drill hole to 1730 seconds. So they want all these holes drilled out to a 1730 seconds. And it's a 5/16 by 18 thread pitch for the Rivet Nut gun. I'll tag a good one on Amazon that you guys, if you're looking to do this, you can pick up and use it. But here's also, we get marker lights. So these are running lights and turn signals. So we're gonna put in diode dynamics lights to fix that in the future, but these will kind of keep you road legal. All right guys, so to set up a proper riv nut, what we're gonna do is we got the right thread pitch in here at 5/16 by 18. Go ahead and open up the handle of this style and thread your rivet nut all the way down until it's snug on there. I am using a little bit of the construction adhesive. I'd like to just put just a little bit on there. You guys can grill me in the comment section, I don't really care. But I do that just so it seals up a little bit better. Take this, once you have your riv nut on there properly, make sure that it's snugged on there, push it in. See, we have some excess right there. So then we're gonna squeeze this nice and tight. I like to double check it by threading that in again, just giving it a secondary little push. But you're gonna wanna make sure that these are tight and not walking on you, because when you go to thread the bolts in, you do not want these twisting. So once you got all your riv nuts started, you can mock up your fender flare and at least get it installed. So you're gonna use an Allen key socket. I forgot to bring my Allen key sockets, so I'm using a Torx bit that fits. But we're not doing any final install right now. All right, we got kind of everything buttoned up on the front. We've got all of our 5/16 bolts installed around the whole thing and it fits perfectly. The only thing left to do is actually mark our holes underneath here for our 1/4 riv nuts. And that's what actually ties this entire fender structure into the subframe. So this subframe that runs along the side of the Jeep underneath here is extremely sturdy and thick and gives it a ton more strength. A lot of fenders would just say, hey, that's it, this is enough, we don't include anything else. Motobilts actually tie up in underneath. And the cool thing about these two is they're extremely beefy and they're gonna save a ton of weight. But the rear I got done too. So this is all tightened up on the back. This uses 1/4 and there's not as much structure that it can tap into, but you can see just how much higher this actually goes. So these are the brand new high clearance inner fender flares from Motobilt. You can see that they do ship bare aluminum here. And these give me a lot of opportunity to actually clearance out for my 40s. So you can actually notch out on this front side for more clearance. We're not going to right now, but I am going to once I get everything back. But you can see that these set in place really nicely. The brackets actually just slip right behind the factory Motobilt fenders. So these will kind of tuck right up into place. All right guys, well, by the magic of video editing, today's day 2. We got the front fenders on, we got the inner fenders kind of all buttoned up over there. It takes a little bit of time to do so. I mean, you just got to take your time and get everything bolted up. Make sure you follow which riv nuts go where and which places they do. The rear fenders are on, rear inner fenders on. Now it's kind of time for the body armor. So we went with the unlimited rockers on this one. So you actually have this panel that bolts to the tub of your Jeep, and then the slider uses your body mount bolts underneath, and this all ties it in. So I kind of wanted something a little bit more durable. This is made out of 3/16 inch plate steel, but requires you to drill into your tub. So that's why we have all of this taped off, masked off. All right guys, so we lined it up. We got a 1/4 inch reveal around the entire tub, and we marked 1 hole here and 2 holes in the middle. I'm gonna get this one drilled, that one drilled, get the riv nuts in place, and then line the entire thing up. I've also broken a body bolt too, so the front broken body bolt decided to happen to me. They're blue Loctited, so we're gonna have to fight to get that out. But let's drill this one, and we'll drill one in the middle, right into the tub. So and this is the one that has 2 layers. So we got that one drilled. We're gonna get the one right there in the middle drilled. And then we're gonna bolt that on with the riv nuts. That chair already just hurt doing that. And get this up on there. On today's viewer rig of the video, we are checking out Joe's beautiful JK that he actually said he's from Puerto Rico, lives here in Amos, PA, and had all the suspension installed from our buddy down at Joe's Locked and Loaded 4x4. Now he's got a beautiful looking JK on what looks to be a set of 40s, KMC beadlocks the same as what I've got, Curry anti-rock, RPM steering, Warn winch, and just a heck of a lot going on. A beautiful looking white JK, a 4-door with obviously a ton of cool mods done to it. Now if you guys want to have a chance at your rig being featured, be sure to hit us up through Instagram or send us an email. I just got the Jeep unwrapped last night and got everything buttoned up off camera as well as some on camera that we showed you guys in this video. Now we got the fender flares installed, the inner fenders, as well as all of the rockers installed. Now what I like about this is that we can get everything dialed in, drill out. You can see even down here I have a little open sign in Sharpie. Write that all out, get it all set up, and then drop it off to powder coat, so when you get it back, you can just bolt it right on. So the last video that we do in this series is going to be everything dialed in, and we've got a whole host of other parts that is going to be going onto this Jeep, so you guys are going to want to stay to the end. We'll do a full build reveal, and then you'll see it at a few more shows that we have planned for this year. Now until next time, my name is Matt, and that's Ryan from Dirt Road Cred, and we want you to get out there and earn yours.